So why is this all proving so complicated?
It is all very unclear in terms of winners and losers. We're saying that 61% of the French population are dissatisfied with the outcome of this election because it has left things so unclear. For example, the party with the biggest number of seats in the National Assembly, and incidentally, the party which garnered the highest percentage of votes, is the National Rally. But in terms of the alliance which won the highest number of seats, that is this alliance on the left comprising communists, Greens, mainstream socialists, and on the far left, the France Unbowed. So they say we won. The problem is also that for very many French people, the France Unbowed right on the far left are as toxic, as dangerous as the far-right Marine Le Pen, for whom they were asked not to vote. A lot of people are very fearful of any government which might include them as ministers. 73% of the French also say they don't particularly want a red, green, pink alliance government, which would be this Nouveau Front Populaire, this left-wing bloc governing on its own if it could. So it is very difficult to decipher what happens next. Macron is the person who chooses the prime minister, and Macron is the person who chooses the government. But of course, it has to be in line with what the country will accept and how much it matches what a vote appears to show. But that in itself is pretty difficult. He might go for someone completely outside government.
And tell us how talks are going on the left among the New Popular Front.
Yes, so on the left, they are continuing to, this is several days now since Sunday, to jostle, to try to decide who should be prime minister, who they should put forward as a proposal for prime minister. Obviously, it's Macron who chooses, and whose programme should prevail. They agreed a joint programme for the elections, but beneath that, each party has its own priorities. The far left, France Unbowed, say within our alliance, we won the most seats and we would have won more, except that we pulled out candidates to stop the National Rally. The socialists say exactly the same thing. We might have won more, but we pulled out candidates. And so it's very chaotic. What they've been trying to do, in a sense, is create such a momentum around the idea that the left bloc should be forming a government that it becomes hard to push back the idea. And particularly while Macron was out of the country, they were trying to kind of gain momentum on the media and push forward this idea that, you know, we are the clear winners here. Some were even suggesting, a trade union was suggesting marching on the National Assembly as a stunt to say we are the true winners of this election. That is not a popular idea. It's not going to go down well in France right ahead of the Olympics. So I think that will be quietly shelved. But in the meantime, the jostling continues, the negotiations continue, and we don't know where they are on it so far.
And there have been some developments on the right. Tell us about those.
Yes, the mainstream right, so the conservative right, which is a much smaller party than, for example, in the days of Nicolas Sarkozy, they came out clearly yesterday because the centrists, of course, want to find some sort of coalition with either the mainstream socialists or the mainstream on the right. The right said yesterday quite clearly, we wish to remain in opposition. We do not want to be in any government. However, we would cooperate on certain laws if they represent our concerns and priorities. They cited, for example, a better living for hardworking people on low incomes as opposed to people who don't have jobs and receive welfare. They talked about immigration and security and said anything which matches their priorities they will try to cooperate on, but they are firmly in the opposition. And most importantly, they said if any government is formed with ministers from the far left, they will call a vote of no confidence and topple it. On the far right, Marine Le Pen's National Rally, they have said the same thing. If a government is formed with ministers from the far left, we will call a vote of no confidence. And they intend to pursue, they're increasingly looking like this could turn out well for them. They have the biggest number of MPs in their own party. They will pursue their so-called necktie strategy of looking smart, being respectful, and hope that things will work out in the presidentials for them in 2027. And their attitude now is we will topple any government that has the far left in it.
It sounds like there are some days of instability ahead for us here in France. Thank you so much for your analysis. Angela Diffley, our international affairs editor there.